Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio. Keeping with tradition, coming to you this morning from the 2020 Cleveland Auto Show, now underway through Sunday, March 1st at the IX Center. The Auto Show each year is one of those mileposts that we pass on our way to spring. March 19th this year. 2 days before that, Ohio voters are going to be going to the polls to have their say in the presidential primary. But with the start of early voting this week, the early votes are already in. At the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections and at boards across the state's 88 counties, the first votes have been cast in the March 17th primary. Voters like Madison here among them. She is an Elizabeth Warren supporter who isn't concerned about the dynamics of the presidential race changing over the next several weeks.
For this election, my opinions are pretty rock solid. That doesn't mean I'll vote early every election, though.
Also on Wednesday, more than 20,000 vote-by-mail ballots like these were mailed out to voters in Cuyahoga County who requested one. That breaks down to 6.4% of all registered Democrats, nearly 4% of Republicans, and only 0.3% of independents. This is a sample Democratic ballot. We'll try not to step on any candidates. There is a question that we fielded almost daily from independents and Republicans, and that is, what do we need to do if we want to vote on one of these ballots? The answer is far from complex. You asked for one.
So in the state of Ohio, we have partially open primaries, which means when a person comes in to vote, they select the ballot style they want. Doesn't matter what your current party affiliation is or no party affiliation, you can choose the ballot type you want, and that's what you'll cast.
Once you do so, though,
you'll then have that party affiliation for the next 2 years.
In 2016, 1 out of 4 voters voted early in the primary. In 2012, it was higher, nearly 4 in 10. What could drive that number up this year is the fact that the primary falls on St. Patrick's Day.
A lot of individuals don't realize that the presidential primary is on March 17th. And so one of our information campaigns that we are pushing out for this election is come down here and vote early, vote by mail.
In the Democratic primary, there is a special emphasis on those counties with a strong Democratic base, like Cuyahoga County. But as we move into November, all 88 counties will come into play, but with a special emphasis on 9 bellwether counties that are known simply as pivot counties. Pivot counties are exactly that, counties that were pointed in one direction in voting for Barack Obama in 2008 and 12, then doing a 180 in voting for Donald Trump in 2016. Across the country, there are 206 such counties in 34 states. Here in Ohio, we have 9 pivot counties, but with the exception of Montgomery County, alone down here in the southwest part of the state, home to Dayton, all the rest, as you can see, are in northern Ohio, including Ashtabula, Trumbull, Portage, and Stark to the east of Cleveland. And to the west, we have Erie, Sandusky, Ottawa, and Wood. These are the areas that are going to be receiving a lot of attention between now and November. Bob Paduchik ran the Trump campaign in Ohio in 2016 and is doing so again this year. He says these northern Ohio pivot counties have a lot in common with some of the states the president was able to flip in 2016, like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Blue-collar areas, manufacturing, where Democrats have historically done well.
What happened in 2016 is Donald Trump had a message that reached out to those workers, that really resonated with them, a message on trade, a message on America first, and that impacted. They responded to that message.
Ohio Democrats know that. They also know the fall campaign is already underway in those counties.
We have to win those votes again, and so does Trump. That's why he's here, and that's why we're not sitting around waiting for the Democratic nominee to start talking to these voters. We've been talking to them through our own digital efforts all the time.
And 2018 didn't offer a lot of insight into where things stand. That's because while Republican Governor Mike DeWine carried 7 of those counties in his race, the very same voters in 6 of those counties also voted for Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown in his.
We're obviously working very hard to take voters who went with Sherrod Brown in 18 and keep them with us going into 2020.
President Trump doing the same, making his first Ohio campaign stop of 2020 in Toledo.
We love Toledo.
Lucas County, one he lost by 17 points, but once surrounded by pivot counties, he won. His base isn't going anywhere. Pivot counties may.
Bottom line is, every vote counts, and quite frankly, Donald Trump understood that better than Hillary Clinton in 2016.
And in combining the political and automotive worlds, it's important to note that one of those pivot counties was Trumbull. Trumbull County, of course, has on its southern border a town with a familiar name, Lordstown, where the GM assembly plant shut down almost a year ago. Trumbull was the epitome of a solid blue county in presidential elections until 2016, when Donald Trump became the first non-incumbent Republican to carry it since Herbert Hoover pulled it off in 1928. This is essentially the first Cleveland Auto Show in a half-century without a Lordstown-produced vehicle being showcased. The loss of the plant and the jobs along with it, a storyline that is expected to loom large as we get closer to November. With Democracy 2020 from the Cleveland Auto Show, I'm John Kosich. Have a good Sunday.